Hey, yo, what's good, what's good, what's good? Welcome to Reflections of a DJ, the R.O.A.D podcast presented by DJ City and Beat Source. I'm one of your hosts, DJ Crooked. We got Jamie the Great here.
Yeah.
We have Neek Lopez here.
Yo.
Shout out to DJ Never. Rest in peace, DJ Never. Never forever. So we're really honored to have this guest here. We used to see him very often in Vegas, just lurking around, just all inside. You know what I'm saying? Out and about,
right?
Making music. And, he's got deep roots in the West Coast. He's produced for some of Cali's biggest legends, from Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, Nipsey Hussle, Baby Bash, to Kendrick Lamar.
Right.
He's made some of my favorite songs for Kendrick Lamar.
Oh, thank you.
Which is,
Quite a few. It's quite a few.
You know how big of a fan you are of that.
Posters on your wall. And shit.
But he's also worked with East Coast heavyweights like 50 Cent, Busta Rhymes, Fat Joe. He's the son of legendary Kid Frost.
Hey.
He continues to carry the torch forward. He's blending classic influences with modern flair. He's Grammy nominated, multi-platinum producer. Scoop Deville was good, sir.
Shucks, y'all.
Yeah, what's
How
good?
y'all doing, man? I'm happy to be here, and thank you for that wonderful intro.
Yeah.
Super grateful to even just hear that, and it's humbling for me to hear all this wild, energy that surrounds me, that's always been around me from a child till right now.
Yeah, it's crazy. You got a crazy history.
It is.
Being the son of Kid Frost.
And it's still being written as we speak right now.
Right. It's fucking great. So I used to see you around like a lot in the late 2010s.
Yes.
You were in Vegas.
Yes,
and
I was.
You were you had adjacent offices to like Mac Agency. Shout out to Eddie Mac.
Eddie Mac.
And then it was like your studio or something.
It was
right?
a place that I would work out of, and actually when I had came to town, I reached out to that studio. So I was just like open to seeing if there was any recording studios or someone who I could kind of work with and just get a feel for what spots are cool. Had a conversation with the guy Scott, who's from Level 9 Studios, and he was like, you know what, man, I know who you are. So I just kind of was open with him, say, hey man, I'm in town, I'm looking for a space to record at, and would like to check the facility. What kind of equipment do you have? I don't need nothing crazy. I like to get in cubby holes and just kind of cook up. So this was a great moment for him starting his space, and then cut to, I believe Mac Agency moved into the space next door, and then that's how the connection of like, oh shoot, Scoop is here. Oh, we have a producer here, and then Eddie was like, oh, I heard of him before. Then it was just like a circle of that, and really honestly, when I first started coming out here, I was doing, I was out here early on before I was even old enough to really enjoy Vegas. I would come out here on the Greyhound bus, and literally 14, 15 years old, my father would give me a box of his CDs, and he taught me the independent game, really just to make something out of nothing, make money, hustle, talk to people, communicate, get something to the people directly. So, I was on the strip literally selling his music to passerbyers, tourists that was like, hey man, you like hip hop, or you know Kid Frost, and
wait.
Seriously. So check this out.
You can buy a Kid Frost CD, and then you can get the Little Darlings little flyer next to you.
Right, exactly. Like those things were just like all in.
What was
the
this, like some
CDs.
West Coast Puff Daddy, like making the band shit?
Yeah, right.
Some CDs.
No, for real.
So
no,
crazy.
this was just, I think, a test from like.
Really? How old were you again?
I was about 15, and
Jesus.
I would come out here.
It's just send you to another state?
Not just by myself, but he would send me out here with other artists and people who would be in town that he would work with.
I thought he just sent you Dolo. Like, that's crazy.
I know, right? That's
Throw
crazy.
you on the Chinatown
Straight
bus.
shipped me and shit.
I'm like, yo, LA is rough. They
But
just send him off.
let me tell the story. Okay.
You can send it to the Hollywood Strip over there.
Wait, how much was the Greyhound? back
like
then.
maybe 30 bucks,
Yeah,
something
I
like
used to
that.
take
Round
that
trip.
too.
You
I
did?
used to take that too, yeah.
I don't know if it was a round
No,
trip.
35 for the round trip.
Oh,
Really?
Yeah.
shoot.
Okay.
Crazy.
Wow.
I don't remember.
So
but
you came here.
I
What,
came
what
here-
artist did you come with? Do you remember?
Yeah, so it was a local group here by the name of Clica One that we were connected with through my father, because my father, you know, he's Chicano MC, big in
fucking
that
legend.
market.
Yeah.
He's the
And,
Chicano. He's
yeah,
the,
he is.
He's
He's
the-
the Chicano.
I want to say he's the first Mexican rapper that kind of made something happen.
Yeah, definitely. He
And
was
then
one of the
Will.i.am was
first.
next, but you know.
Yeah, you know, but my dad, he wasn't easy on me because he knew that it took a certain type of a person to sustain in the business. So as a young kid, I was making beats and doing that, but I came out here with the intention of like, okay, I'm gonna go and make some connections. So we would be out here working with different independent artists who were just locals, but they had some money. They were, you know, serious about their business, and I would sell beats. So not only would I sell that box of CDs or whatever, but I would now be connected with different artists and sell them beats. And then like literally 16, 15 years old, I would come back home with like a couple G's in my pocket. You know, like it was just a different feeling for me. Like I was doing this by myself.
So you're talking about production and like selling your beats in Vegas at 15.
Yes.
I want to kind of go back. I want to go to the start because I'm so curious. I love like LA, like, you know, just the gang culture, and just everything about LA because I grew up in New York.
Yes.
So like growing up, all I saw was like Colors and Paul Rodriguez, and he would remember he would do those we got all the gangs in one room, you know, for the comedy show. So I was like, yo, this is like, what does this mean? Like all the gangs together. Right. So, but like, growing up in LA, you know, and being the son of Kid Frost, I want you to paint this picture of how it was growing up and just being, how'd you get into the music? Obviously the music was probably everywhere.
Yes, but, absolutely. Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that.
So growing up in LA, you know, we're basically exposed to the whole entire business. So, and being that my father was in the business, we were in every situation from recording studios to record labels to touring, doing shows. Like I was doing shows with my father. My father would bring me out on stage.
You were always around.
Always around, from the music videos to, you know, the songs being recorded. I would be featured on them songs 1, 2, 3 years old, rapping gibberish like ABCs and 1, 2, buckle my shoe. Like, and these records actually came out. Like I have a song or like that was on a compilation with like Tone Loc and my pops and Ice-T, like crazy, like a nursery rap record from the early 90s. You know what I'm saying?
Crazy. So like, who was always around? Like, what neighborhood did y'all grow up? What was like? Where in LA?
Honestly, I'm from LA area, all over LA and California. I was born in Riverside, but I didn't end up staying there. We lived there for like, you know, Moreno Valley for like a year or something, a couple years. Then we moved to the other side of San Fernando Valley. Then we moved we moved all over. Pasadena. I spent a lot of time doing school years in Pasadena. You know, just I was all over the place. Hacienda Heights, La Puente. Man, I lived I don't know how many places and met so many different people. I was like, it's almost, now that I look back at it right now, I'm reflecting. It's almost like I was like on tour always, like, and just meeting different people, showing who I was. People getting to find out who my dad was for the very first time, or walking around school and kids are like, yo, I just saw you on BET with your father in a music video, you know.
Which video was it?
Yeah, that's me. That one was La Familia that came out in, I think, 96.
How old were you, like, around that time?
I was about 9.
9.
Yeah.
And but you didn't realize it. You thought you were at, did you even think you're like, yo, I'm at my dad's job?
Normal,
yeah, no, definitely. It was, you know, we had a unique childhood experience, and it was raw as well, because, and it wasn't always fun. Like when you say you're growing up around neighborhoods and a certain time of era where there is it's just a different energy in the city. So
what was like the soundtrack in, like, when you were growing up? What were you hearing all the time? Like, what kind of music?
Gosh.
Because I'm curious, like,
everything.
Kid Frost is like 100% Mexican, right?
Yes.
Mexican American.
Yes.
And then what are you mixed, or are you 100% Mexican?
No, 100%. I have some Native American things in me as well, and some little Filipino energy as well. Okay. So yeah.
So what were you like listening to growing up? Everything.
So a lot of soul, a lot of classic rock, a lot of oldies, a lot of disco, reggae, you know, the early electronic stuff like Egyptian Lover and you know, Planet Patrol. Like those records like changed my life. Those are the like ones that really I wanted to do music, you know, because it hit me in a way. Like there's something happens to me if I hear something that really moves me, I start crying. Like, but I'm not like crying. It's like a tear just comes out of my eye.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, but it's almost like it's a beautiful thing that I can feel something like that, and I know that's something magic in that. You know what I mean?
That's crazy. So like when you're growing up in LA, you know, I feel like Kid Frost is kind of like, I don't know, the Big Pun of the West Coast to some degree. You know what I mean? Not for real.
I like that.
You know,
I actually like that.
He was big fun.
Yeah,
Big Pun.
Big fun.
Yeah, I feel like he was Big Pun before Big Pun even came out. You know what I'm saying? So, but like for me, I feel like it was a lot of like Latino pride.
Hell yeah.
And even on the East Coast, there really wasn't.
It was it was really Mexican pride.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
if you really wanted to be
sure. Yeah.
like to single it out, there was nobody doing that. Period. And, and it was something like that is the majority. There's a lot of Mexicans in LA, a lot of Chicano culture, and there was no voice really being maximized. For them.
I mean, I would put him as like the king of like. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely,
rap.
absolutely.
So my thing is like, your son, were you like a little spoiled? Like, were you like the prince? Well, like I'm picturing like Ice Cube coming through and being like, giving you a gift, and you're not knowing Ice Cube's giving me gifts and shit. Like,
crazy things is like just being around this lifestyle. So like Roger Troutman calling the house and leaving a voice message on my answering machine, and him going, "Yo, this is Roger looking for Kid Frost. Hit me right back." And he was just on his talk box calling fools, and you know what I'm saying, on the voice message machine or whatever, on the little cassettes.
Yeah,
and that's when you're gonna boop.
Yeah, or like Eazy-E calling the crib. Hey, can you tell your father Eric called, or being in the hands of Eazy as a child, being,
Weren't
being
you guys
around
like
that.
neighbors or same neighborhood or something like that?
No, I mean, really, they were signed on the same label. My dad was signed to Eazy at the time when Eazy started Ruthless Relativity. So he was label mates with Bone Thugs, Common, like a bunch of different people. Beat Nuts was on Ruthless Relativity. So, it was just like, he believed in the Mexican culture. He saw that collective of people would definitely support what they were doing to the max, and it was mutual for everybody. So he was one of the first to be like, no man, we're gonna get Frost in here, and then honestly, gangster rap too was like really the subject of that time. So you had to be gangster, you had to come with that shit. Talk that shit and put yourself in a situation to say things that maybe could be dangerous for you, you know what I'm saying, or cause a risk for you, and I'm sure any real gangster rapper that did it authentically will tell you right now that what they were creating, it was beautiful. People will rap the words word for word, but people were gangbanging to it. Yeah. People were fighting to it. People were beefing to it, maybe even dying to it. Like, who knows? And those things, you have to live with that as an artist, and you have to understand what you're doing and creating in your environment. And then I think nowadays when you're a G and you're still rhyming or influencing people, now you just have the brains to really like educate them of what you should do or the way to go about your life, and don't get caught up in bullshit, because people do get caught up in bullshit all day,
Hey, yo, to all our roadies and roadies for life, if you want to be a part of the conversation here at R.O.A.D Podcast, and you feel like we're not touching on the right topics or real issues going on in DJing, production, nightlife, or the music industry, ask R.O.A.D.
Just ask R.O.A.D.
We want to hear from you, so send us your questions. Whether you're a rookie in the game, just starting out, or a seasoned veteran, ask R.O.A.D.
Just ask R.O.A.D.
We want you to send us your questions and hot takes, and then me and the R.O.A.D Podcast crew, along with our special guests, will answer your questions, give you our unfiltered take on a future episode. So if you want to ask R.O.A.D,
just ask R.O.A.D.
Go to djcity.com/ask R.O.A.D or click the link in the description to submit your questions. Once again, if you want to ask R.O.A.D,
just ask R.O.A.D.
Go to djcity.com/ask R.O.A.D or click the link in the description and tell us why you mad, son.
Being that you are Kid Frost's son, and especially at that time, and like, I like the comparison to Frost as the West Coast pun, because he is kind of like the king of Chicano rap.
Yeah.
Did you ever feel that pressure when you decided that you were going to start making music? And did you feel like, well, if I do it, like, I got to do it right, and I have to do it to a certain level?
Yeah, I mean, I was always messing with music. Like I told you, I've always been around studios. I've been around music producers, DJs. So people were just letting me get on the machines. Like Tony G, Julio G, Fred Rec.
Wow.
I grew up around all these incredible producers that would make some of the dopest things to come out and really influence music and blending sounds and samples and all that. Introducing break beats to the culture. Like, I was around the best people doing that shit. So, they're maybe go out and have a meeting or whatever, and I'm in the studio with the engineer at, a young age, learning how to program on the MPC, messing with like Battle Cat drum samples and like, you know what I'm saying? Like, just there amongst things happening, and
Was there one producer that like kind of opened the doors to everything that planted the seed for you to really
Tony G.
Tony G.
Yeah. Wow. And I mean, there was honestly, to go back to the pressure thing. It wasn't a pressure. It was they gave me the platform to believe in myself and to show me to do it. They put me in the booth. They wrote my raps. They showed me how to deliver flows, how to double the flows, how to do the ad libs, how to format a record, how to make something. And that stuck with me, and I understood the formula to create something that could be catchy or you would like it instantaneously, from the production to the chorus to, the wittiness of the flow, whatever. Like,
you're kind of a curious case because, Michael Jordan's sons weren't great at basketball.
No.
You know what I'm saying? So like, it's kind of one of those things where like,
well, there's some princes for sure, right?
Sure.
Yeah. Like,
shout out. Those are the homies.
They get the best Nikes and the best J's.
But, it's one of those things where like, maybe your father's like a pro athlete and he puts you in T-ball and hopes you like it and doesn't want to put pressure on, but he hopes you like it, but you liked it and you did fucking well at it.
Oh, thank you, brother.
So you're kind of a curious case of just like, let's introduce it and hope he grasps it.
For sure.
You didn't only grasp it, you fucking did it well.
Is there a reason why you lean towards producing more than rapping?
Because at first I was mainly doing a lot of rap stuff, at the time. But I feel like even that was important to know when I'm working with artists and they're like, well, what do you think about this verse? And I'm like, well, you can say it like this a little better, or you can push it better. Right. So I'm not the type of guy that's gonna have you in the studio like not understanding how to make a song or capture like the energy of what is important to make something stand out.
You like being in the room with
I'm hands on with it, and I push the artist like a drill sergeant. Like, you're like, I'll tell them things that are like, I'm not, and it's true. I'm not. It's like, you can say a lyric, but if I don't feel it and I got to put an effect on it to make you feel that lyric or something when it pops out, that don't do nothing to me. I need to really feel the rawness of you giving me the power. Perform that shit like you're performing it in a bunch of people. You know what I mean? Give me that energy so that when we listen back at it, it's like your best performance. And then now every artist that I work with, they're like, man, I work with different people. Nobody pushes me like this. And I want to just do that now. So... is
that something that was like more difficult to do with certain bigger artists, or no?
No, not at all, because they understand that, and a real artist is gonna want that. They're gonna need direction. They're gonna want to be produced. They're gonna want to. Even when I was, spending a couple moments here and there with Dre in the studio. Yeah. Hey, what do you think about the verse? Was it good? No, bro. I think you could push it a little harder at that end part. Okay, cool, perfect. Cut it.
Damn.
Like no ego, no knocking somebody for doing what.
You told Dr. Dre that?
Yeah,
shit?
imagine telling Dr. Dre.
No, it's not nothing crazy.
Run that shit back, Doc.
No,
it's
but it wasn't crazy. Even. It's not even like that.
You don't look at it crazy.
No, but the fact that homie can trust my opinion and ask me if I'm there and energetically, I think just from like some telepathic shit. It's almost like you could just feel the feeling, and if he's thinking about it. I do the same shit. If I'm recording and my homies are in the room, it's like, what do you think about that? And we listen to it, and it's like, I'm like, no, let me run that again, or I think you could push it better on that part, and then I don't take it any offense.
So when you were working with Dr. Dre and you were like doing like vocal producing with him, like,
it was a one little moment that I did that with, but it wasn't like I did it a lot.
Was that the recipe?
No, that wasn't. That was something that he was just creating on his own.
Oh, really?
So I was just there, kind of just giving my creative input.
How does that invite come along? Like,
just mutual people, and then when I did the recipe joint, it was originally for I sampled a song and I was like, oh, I could do something with this. This is dope. It was an indie rock band. Yeah. No one heard about it.
Twin sister.
Yeah, but they should have, because I thought it was incredible. I was like, man, this is really cool. Yeah. And I could totally flip this.
You heard it on the radio or something?
I did. I heard it on KCRW, and because they're playing a lot of eclectic early indie rock shit.
I was curious because I've seen like other interviews of you explaining that shit, but I was kind of curious, like were you just like lounging in the studio with the radio?
No, I was in the car. I was in the car on my way to the airport going to Atlanta for the BET Awards, and I think that it just randomly came on. Wow. And it started off like smoking with you. Yeah. Instantly my The tear came. You know what I mean? I'm like, hold up.
That's the indicator.
Yeah, it was the indicator. But yeah, the goosebump went up. You know, that's always something that the collective of people I've been around, we're searching for the goosebump. I don't care about the trend or the vibe. I want to go this way while everyone is on this train copying everybody. It's like I've have too much knowledge and too much dope things to be creative, to introduce sound and culture to the world. And what's dope about that is speaking on the Twin Sister sample, now if you go to hip hop and you're listening to records, a lot of indie rock stuff is being sampled now. And it's cool to fuse things like hands on the wheel. Like we were influencing a lot of this stuff that was coming out, you know what I mean? Rocky, and the choices of the samples, the choices of what appealed to them, because they wanted to feel something new and refreshing, like how we all do as music lovers, right?
Yeah. So wait. You remember that sample? You head to the BET Awards.
Yeah, I download it, find it.
How'd you find? How did you know? You just.
They talked about the record. Oh, this was Twin Sister. The song is called "Meet the Frownies." So I think I just wrote it in my notes in the phone.
Wow.
Got the song, bought it, lived with it in Atlanta while I was there, and then when I got back home, I started flipping it. And honestly, I was like, "Oh, this is perfect for Wiz. I'm gonna play this for Wiz." And Wiz was coming to my place, and spent some time with me to listen to some beats, and that was one of the beats. I think I played it like the second or third beat. Because I was really sure about it.
You instantly knew it was for Wiz, or did you think of every rapper that like smokes weed? And you're like,
yeah, I knew it would be a weed record. It was either going to be Cypress or Wiz, right, or you know.
You know, it's funny. That sounds like an
Snoop.
OJ and Kush mixtape song.
Absolutely.
That could have lived with there.
Wow,
that's what I was like.
Yeah.
When you said that, I was like, okay, that makes sense now.
It kind of does, right?
Yeah.
And he liked it. He was vibing with it, but it's like he just passed on it, and we moved on to like another idea, another vibe, which was cool. It wasn't like I didn't take any offense to it, because literally that record, I sent it to somebody from Aftermath. I want to say, was it Stat Quo? Mm-hmm. Okay. And Stat Quo gave the record to Dre, and I had got a phone call from Stat Quo and Dre like in 30 minutes later. And Dre was like, "Hey, would you be interested in working on this record with me? And you know, we can do something. It's like Detox record." It's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Please, whatever you need. Yeah. So he's like, perfect. I'm gonna send a courier.
Courier.
Okay,
yeah.
They sent the courier to my house, and literally just I opened the door, give him the CD, close the door, and then it's like we're off to the races. The record originally was Dr. Dre and Damian Marley. It wasn't
right.
Damn.
Kendrick.
What the fuck? Do you have Damian Marley's vocals on it?
Yeah, we have that version.
What does that sound like? What was it?
It's tight. It sounds like Kendrick, honestly, because that's where Kendrick got his influence on the beat. So when the beat, I mean, well, in my opinion, maybe this is not how it played out, but I honestly feel like when I hear the Damian verse, maybe just subconsciously, he came up with a verse that was very similar to the pattern that they were doing, because originally they were following I think the aesthetic of the inspiration was like a Ludacris flow pattern. So if
yeah. No, it's definitely there.
And I wake up, money on my mind at times of getting kicked up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it has this thing about it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it has like a swing to it.
It does have a swing to it.
It definitely has like a South.
There's something in it.
Kendrick's never rapped like that before or after that record. So I was like, that was not. I could see that Damian Marley probably came up with some shit like that kind of inspired that.
And it was the first single that had dropped off the record. That's what's crazy too. The Recipe was the first joint.
That's kind of nuts.
Good Kid, Mad City.
Yo, roadies and roadies for life. You already know that we rock heavy with DJ City. It's our go-to record pool to download the latest music, edits, and remixes for our DJ sets. So now, Road listeners can join DJ City for only $10.
$10?
Only $10. That's almost 70% off the first month. Make sure you scan the QR code or click the link in the description or go to djcity.com/offer/road to jump on this great deal.
Dre put his vocals down first?
I guess. And then
you weren't there for the recording.
I wasn't there for the original recordings because it was early on that I had gave them the beat.
So wait, you give them the beat,
yes,
and then what did they give you back? What was the first thing you heard back? And how long did they contact you?
It turned into different things. So at the time when I had did the beat,
I want to hear the first version you heard.
The first version I heard was the Kendrick one.
Oh,
So
No,
you heard,
no, okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
we're gonna go full circle with this because I'm gonna be honest. A good friend of mine from the radio scene, Buys One, was the guy who introduced me to Damian Marley. He introduced me to Damian because Dre had reached out to Damian and sent him the recipe beat to rap on. Okay, so what had happened was Damian was like, yo, Dre just sent me this record. And they were in London on the Distant Relatives tour with Nas, right? So I
remember that, yeah.
Buys I was spending a lot of time with Buys, okay? Yeah. So he heard the recipe beat from my computer. I played it for him, you know? So cut to, they're in London, the recipe beat pops up and he's like, Dre's just sent me this. We're gonna go and cut some things. I gotta come up with some stuff. We're gonna get to LA and record the verse. So they were like, hey man, that's a Scoop Deville beat. You know what I mean? Like Scoop did that beat. And they're like, nah, that's Dre. And they were like, who's Scoop? You know, like they started breaking it down. And then after that, they were like, man, have him pull up to the studio. Then when we come to LA, they booked a studio session and we were in the lab cutting just track after track after track. We did like 13 ideas of just Damian freestyling over crazy hip hop.
So you were there when Damian was recording over the recipe then?
No, I wasn't. But
okay.
I'm saying he brought me into the studio to do things separately with him.
Okay.
Right?
Wow.
And then cut to, then me and Bias fly to Jamaica and go spend time in like Tough Gong Studios and working from there.
That's crazy.
And just, man, I remember setting up a studio in a kitchen because they were working in the big room. Shaggy was in there. Like I recorded a verse for Damian on a Shaggy joint. And this was just like random, just happened to be there type shit. But like literally there's a bunch of artists there. It's a huge compound at this studio. So there's a bunch of up and coming artists that are Jamaican and they're dope as fuck. So
wait, how does that happen? They just say like, yo, come to Jamaica with us?
I mean, they invited me.
It's on some hangout shit almost.
And yeah, come and hang out, be a fly on the wall, come and listen to what we're making.
Right.
So I literally just chilled in the corner and watched this band make music for hours and come up with these like songs out of nowhere, but it was all real reggae music. It wasn't hip hop stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So his idea was mainly at the end of the day was to kind of like help guide the ship or put a certain sound on top of it or blend it or figure out a way to make it have a bounce or something just a little unique to innovate the reggae sound, right? Mm-hmm. Like how his pops innovated it. You know what I'm saying? Like that was his goal as well. So, you know,
he wanted you to add like that hip hop street, but somewhat mainstream sound to
like
what he was organically creating.
He wanted me to
Jamaica, right?
put that scoop on it, scoop it. You know what I'm saying? Loop it and scoop it. Yeah.
So you're hanging out with Damian Marley.
Yeah.
And now so the first version you hear is Damian Marley and Dr. Dre.
Yeah. From a phone in Jamaica. So, cause all this is happening in real time, right? Cause it just happened. Homie just gave him the beat. They came to LA separately, reached out to me. I spent time with Damian and we working on things, right? Yeah. Dre's doing Dre's stuff. But then cut to now a year later pass and then it's like, oh shoot, the recipe now the artist Kendrick Lamar, that's gonna be the single because it was already a record technically in Dre's, you know, in his bag. So he was like, all right, cool, what's up with this one? And they actually liked it, so they ended up cutting it and he had Kendrick write the lyrics or whatever. So it's now you can hear the song turning into something. I was like, wow, this is crazy. But yeah, that was just a wild experience. You know what I mean? And
so he was just sitting on that for a year.
No, it sounds like 2 years, bro.
Maybe because at the time it was like detox things. Like they were still trying to make that album, you know? Yeah, wow. Like it wasn't like they weren't making it.
Because they dropped the Detox single in 2009, I believe. And it was Snoop, Dre, and Akon. And then nothing came from that.
The Kush song, right?
The Kush song.
Right.
And then, so now it makes sense.
I thought it was dope.
I can see why somebody heard that beat and maybe thought, no, this is a Dre beat. Because like when I hear it, in my mind, like now hearing the story, it to me, like I would be like, there's this wasn't a beat that was passed around. This was made for this.
Right.
Because it sounds like it's made for Dre, especially those chords. Like
it's cool that he
like
heard it like that, because I wouldn't.
But the drums too. You've got those kind of, Dre has those like heavy but light drums.
Well, he mixed it too. But if you hear my 2-track, you can hear like my what I did, and then you can hear like the polish of what Dre did.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Which is cool. It's amazing that he took that record. Okay, so here's another thing that I find funny.
Yeah.
When I think about the recipe, it also reminds me of my tea's done cold. I wondering why.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a similar energy.
Yeah, because it's like this eerie thing as the chorus thing, and you're like, ooh, and the beat is slow, and that was kind of like another what do you call that? Like aesthetic that I had heard and was like, oh, I can
do my version
as I'm making the beat. That's those downloads are coming to me like, oh yeah, okay, this kind of is giving me that feeling. Wow, this could be some Dre shit.
So was yours a little more
some Snoop shit?
Was the original a little more dusty? Was it
just not? Yeah, exactly. Like not running through the millions of dollars of equipment that this man has and power, like which. Yeah. Sonically, Dre's sonics are insane. The people that are around Dre and all of us collectively, they all grew. I mean, bro, I've been fortunate enough. I can't even put myself in the same category as a Dre, but I look at like a DJ Quick, and I look at a Dr. Dre, and I look at that formula, or like Above the Law, like all these cats who were producing and making incredible production and songs and choruses and concepts and all this stuff. Like, wow, Roger Troutman, all the things that really influenced us, and they were all rocking with each other in those times. Daz, Superfly, Warren G, all incredible producers. Fred Wreck,
Battle Cat,
Tony G, Battle Cat. Yes.
Yeah.
Like, come on now. Like, everybody is so seasoned. They all come from that cloth. They're all come from that G era of like, they know how to mix the boards, they know how to touch analog gear. They're not, but now they're so futuristic with it that when you put them in the digital sense, now they're doing some other shit, which I love. I love to see them still pushing and still giving us this great music. And there's so many other producers in between of everything that don't get enough shine or don't get enough praise to me. Like for me, like Egyptian Lover is one of the dopest motherfuckers in my head that pops in right away. And his influence, obviously, it can influence a lot of people. He influenced some of the biggest records to come out, like Black Eyed Peas joints and whatever.
He's
you know
still
what I'm
here.
saying?
So when you heard the final version of Recipe, and you knew it was going to Kendrick, were you just like, this is perfect? You were like,
it just worked out, but I didn't know it was going to be the first single.
Yeah, I was going to say, did they tell you it was going to be on the album or as a single?
It was going to be the single, and then they also, I guess, used it as a marketing tool as a bonus cut. So everybody loved the Recipe when it dropped. And then they actually, they performed it at Coachella, and I got to watch it live.
Crazy.
That was tight. When they had the hologram of Tupac come out and all that shit. That shit was crazy. You know what I mean?
That's like a 3-year process, huh? From conception to,
yes, absolutely. Wow. And dude, you have no idea how long things can take. And it could be so fresh to somebody.
Right.
But think about that. Like, you can't make greatness overnight. Like, if it's something that can stand the test of time, and we've been like these records can be in the bag for a while, but they're still something about it. I've had things like that happen where I've made records that are 13 years old that literally just came out like last year.
That's kind of crazy to think about, because as a DJ, I consider myself a consumer more than a creator. So
yeah, because you're really
I'm just purveying. You know what I mean? I take it and I show it. But I don't.
That's why I love the DJ culture, man.
So
I love it so much.
It's kind of interesting to hear like that song from conception to where we can consume took 3 years.
Yeah, 3 to 4. Yeah,
3 to 4 years, and you're saying like I've had songs that took 13. You know, do you ever get worried? Because I mean now, the way consumers are, everything comes and goes so quickly. Like something is old in 6 months. Do you ever get worried that like in the creation, in the time that it's taking, you're like,
it'll sound dated.
It's gonna be old by the time this happens?
No, because I feel like the music it's gonna live forever, you know, in a sense. So I may not understand what it's doing right now. You see records that have crazy resurgences on like viral moments and things like that, where songs just happen to blow back up again.
Yeah.
Or it takes a minute for something to blow up, and it's not the same type of promotion that there was back then. Not a lot of people have their hands in promotion and things like radio and how things were being, you know,
marketed back then.
Yeah, you know, how we were appreciating things and how it was special. Everything is so accessible, but you know, everyone can have their own lane, their own type of vibe or pace. There is no right or wrong time or pace or you know, moment to make something great, or to worry about if it's not catching it in the moment, because it's all it's an experiment, you know.
Your music, a lot of the songs that have like, especially the ones I should say rather, your music and the songs that have really gotten big waves, to me at least, never sound of the moment or trendy.
No,
they're just dope,
totally,
and so
totally.
Which makes them kind of timeless. You know what I mean? Like
well, for sure.
It doesn't have a timestamp on it.
As I evolved a little more in the creative
Sure,
ways,
it changes.
Music changed and turned into a more, like I said, more creative, more. I knew exactly what I wanted to do, or like if I was sampling something, it was more like, oh, I could flip that, and it wasn't. I didn't think it would be for an artist. I didn't think I Wanna Rock was for Snoop.
I was just gonna use that as an example.
I just made the beat. So if the beat was fly and homie heard it for him, like, oh, this is gonna be a single for me. You know what I'm saying? Which Dre mixed I Wanna Rock too.
Oh shit.
You feel me?
Yeah.
So
That's so. I was just gonna use that as an example because
they already knew about me in that moment and didn't know that was gonna pop off. I'm sure they were all unsure about I Wanna Rock, but Snoop was sure about it. And then cut to, I had homies of mine at the time. They're not my homies anymore, probably for this reason. When they were like, hey, Jay-Z ain't gonna rap on that beat, man. You tripping, man. You think Jay-Z's gonna rap on that beat? Come on, dog. Yeah.
And that's what I mean.
You
Like,
know what I mean?
I don't.
Wish,
It's such a fucking cool beat, but it doesn't sound of the moment. Like it still gets played now. DJs fuck with it now.
Yeah.
So like
it still bumps, man.
That's what I mean. It's kind of a trip that like, even though some of these songs and these like the marketing process takes or even just the creation process takes so fucking long.
Yeah. Or it could be fast as shit.
It doesn't sound old. It doesn't sound dated. It fucking ends up being timeless.
Yeah.
All your big ones have lasted.
Thank you, man.
So it was around the same time then, around 2009, 2008 when you created I Wanna Rock?
I Wanna Rock was 2010. And then before that, I had did some things with...
I Wanna Rock was 09, late 09.
Late 09.
Yeah.
And then
Sorry, bro. I just
But did you
Right,
make
but
that
the
around the
remix-
same time as Recipe?
No, I did not, because I don't think that sample exists, or that Meet the Frownies existed.
I think that came out 08.
2010.
Is it 2010?
Thank you, yes.
2010.
Okay, then that's
Yeah,
that.
because if I remember
Fuck outta
correctly,
here.
I was doing.
I thought it was 08 for some reason.
I was doing a rap project. 08 for me was the Snoop Dogg stuff that I did.
Yeah.
I did Life of the Party for Snoop and
Life of the Party is crazy.
Those Girls. I did a joint from there, and this is when like I really got to meet DJ Quick, and at that time Quick was mixing the album for Snoop, and I remember walking in the room and seeing Quick doing his thing, and I was nervous as shit because it's the first time I'm like this with Quick in the room, right? And I walk in and he doesn't know who I am at first. He's like, who are you?
Who's this kid?
Yeah, and then I'm like, I walk up to him and say, hey man, my father, man, told me to say what's up. You know, it was like my icebreaker, like, you know, and he's like, who's your father? I was like, Frost. And he said, oh man, gave me a big old hug. He's like, man, your production is so crazy, man. That part where you took the keys and then you drop it down to the do 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 do. He was like, that's the funnest record to play live in the band when they play that. That's incredible. And he was just bigging me up right there. And then I was like, with him as he's cooking, he in the kitchen, he had like he would leave the mixing board and go cook like spaghetti and food with like French bread and you know what I'm saying, garlic bread. So we be in the studio eating with Quick, and he's, you know, cooking up food and making the mixes to Ego Tripping for Snoop.
Wow.
Wait, so you work with Quick on what, Those Girls, with like Teddy Riley and Quick?
Yes. So originally it was just a beat that I had gave them, but at the time they had created this collective which was called Quick Dog and Teddy. It was QDT. It was like this little production thing where they wanted to, evolve my sound a little bit because it was like raw a little bit. I was the youngest guy in the mix, like 18, 17, submitting these records. When I met Snoop and he was rocking with my beats, dude, it was at the Vato music video for Pharrell and Snoop, because my father made a cameo in the music video. Yeah. So this is how I even met Snoop, and Snoop heard my beats, walked into the trailer as we're hanging with B-Real, because B-Real's on the song. So it was B-Real, my dad, me, and a boombox, and I'm playing. I burnt like 20 CDs of beats that I can pass out to whoever, I wanted, because my father
was ready, bro. That boy was ready.
I'm bringing CDs to
those
this
Las Vegas
shit.
trips work.
Hey, those Vegas trips. Yeah, right. Hey, man, like check me out. Like, man, dude, I would pass them out like behind all the concerts. I would go on the concerts, find a way to get in the back and like pass a CD to like Ghostface Killer, or like pass a CD. But cut to with the way that I met Snoop. It was so tight because Snoop walks in the trailer, says what's up to my pops, and is like, we get to meet him right there. He's all dressed up like the video. Fool starts rapping and dancing right there in front of me to my beat.
Which beat like, was it? Was it the I Wanna Rock shit?
No. It was some early on, like it was like a Marvin Gaye sample thing, and he heard the way that it was flipped,
right.
and he, he was rocking with it. So he was like, who did that beat? He's like, oh, that's Frost's son right here, Scoop.
Wow.
Okay. Now my father and Snoop are filming the scene.
Right.
My dad's in Snoop's ear like this as my dad's driving Snoop. He's like, yo, man, I really want you to like really listen to my son's beats, because I hear a lot of people out here in the production, and I'm not just saying this because this is my son, but this kid got beats. He's been doing it since he was a child. He's been around the best people, sharpening his skills. He's only going to get better. Take him under your wing. And bro, his manager got with me after they shot that scene and was like, hey, would you be interested in giving us some beats for Snoop?
Wow.
And like that turned into me and Snoop working on like 8 or 9 songs. And he at that time bought like 8 or 9 records from me and put me in a different position to take care of myself and be an independent human. You know what I mean? Like Snoop really put me in a position that changed my life completely forever.
That's Snoop buying 8 beats from you in one sitting. You're good.
Dude, crazy. What was the price at that time?
I mean, I gave him a good price, But let's just say I make maybe a cool little hundo,
There we go.
Yeah,
we're good for the year.
You know what I'm saying? At that time, but listen too, the production game was a little more crazier because you had cats that were making. I was inspired by like Pharrell and Scott Storch and Kanye and all these amazing people. So my beats were banging, bro. Like I had banging beats, but they weren't hitting for them 100,000 a beat prices, the Timbo price. Right. Though the game was just a different game. The value was a different value, but at that time I felt like I was on the cusp of that value kind of shifting. Right? Because you got to understand at that time Snoop was a little more independent, so he was like trying to put himself in a position to thrive and to make his own music in his own way, which Snoop, you can see clearly that's what Snoop does fully. And that's why Snoop's where he's at right now. It's because he's continued to do that.
Yeah, that's when he rapped over Life of the Party, right?
Yeah, and then before that, I was doing a little tour with my pops. We were on the road, and we got a phone call from Snoop and Ted Chung, which was his manager, and he was like, hey, we just got Pimp C on one of your beats. So I was like, oh shit. They played it over the phone, and I'm hearing Pimp C rapping over the beat. This song never came out, by the way. It's in the archives. Yeah. It's in the archives. It never came out. So it was just like, I was like, wow, I got a record with Pimp C, and then shortly after he passed away, which was like literally it wasn't that long after we did that record. So we kind of just like put the record on ice, and then all the other records at the time worked for the record that he was doing. So like I had the intro of the album, I had Life of the Party, I had a song called Those Girls, and then I had a song called Riding in My Chevy. Those were the 4 that made it, and then other ones separately went on to like mixtapes and things like that. Cut to now, coming 2009, the next project, which is Malice in Wonderland for Snoop. That's when I Wanna Rock happens. Right. So from there, I think I had maybe like 2 or 3 songs on, if I remember correctly, maybe just 2 on Malice in Wonderland. But that I Wanna Rock record really moved the needle for me. Like my life changed to the point to where I was getting phone calls from New York, from Busta Rhymes and from Fat Joe, like, yo, I need to now kidnap you and you're coming over here. We're doing this now. So like I was going to Miami, working with, with Joe and doing stuff like at Cool and Dre's studio. And this is all like a culture shock to me. Like I'd never even been to Miami. I think I went one time, and it was like in a random setting when I was like very young. And I was like hanging randomly with Scott Storch, right? With just some mutual friends, like a music video director or whatever. But like I saw a lot of things early on. You know what I mean? Like I grew up really fast too. That's another thing. But I don't
even want to know what was.
I don't even want to know
what was around Scott Storch at that time.
This is prime Scott.
This is like Scott Storch like cutting off the top of his Bentleys.
Yeah, like living on Star Island, Scott Storch. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So being in the studio with homie, but was so nice of a guy, like walking in these clubs. Like we were hanging at a club like till the next day. Then we went to his pad. He's playing music in his home, like playing like the Scarface theme. So it's like dun 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 dun. And he's like killing it on the piano, and it's intense and all like dark and crazy in the house. You're like, oh shit! It's like it's like in the morning time. We're like pulling up to homie's pad and. On now some Scarface shit. Yeah, like, oh shit, this is a
1.5, 2 of a bender.
When you made I Wanna Rock, right?
Yeah.
It just sounds so East Coast. It sounds so New York.
Well, what makes it East Coast to you?
To me,
it's a great question. I was trying to figure out as you were saying that.
Well, no. For me, it takes like a classic, like New York, artist sample. Which a motherfucker would never think to sample the beginning of, but it was like no one would ever think to sample that shit. But also, if I look at the trajectory of your production, you just take a lot of intros from like
sometimes
a lot of like some of the songs. A lot of the songs that really pop. Were like
the intros.
You took the intros like House of Pain and all this shit,
Yeah.
So like you take the intros and you flip them.
You know what inspires me with that shit?
Yeah.
Being in a club, dog.
Hearing that
being
first
in a club.
sound, right?
Yes. So
because it's so memorable, that first sound that hits, right?
Dude, it happens. So like
I was gonna ask you that shit.
If you're behind the tables or any of y'all motherfuckers in here are DJing and you're playing something that hits me, and I either the hair stand up or a tear falls, or I feel the reaction, right? And yo, what can I say? I'm gonna go and flip that now. When I heard when the club hears ba 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 ba, everyone is going nuts already.
Yeah.
Right.
So that was those things are stuff that I look at, especially if it's like a sample or doing like a hip hop sample or something like that authentically. I'm like trying to capture that energy and stay in that moment where it's fucking you up and you're getting smacked in the fucking face, just getting your ass beat in these beats. The drums are smacking, the chops are crazy.
But that's why to me those chops is like really it's like very East Coast New York.
Bro, if I showed you though, you would be like, oh nah. Like if you actually saw the chops. Yeah. Like if I broke down the chops and can like show you how I chopped it, it's really on some like...
It's on some Dilla shit.
It's on some like like that and a blend of like Premiere chopping things as well.
Like, no, that's what I'm saying. It's like that's
very
why
typical.
That's
why
why
I didn't chop it on a beat machine either. I chopped it with like a computer program.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So like at that time I was using Acid Pro. I was making beats on that, and I made the recipe on that. I made I Wanna Rock on that. I made the Calm Down joint on that. A lot of my early stuff I made on that program, and I was on that program when it first came out. I was like on the 1.0, 2.0 versions of them.
So when you're in the club and you hear that first noise, that first sound of any record, and you see the crowd going crazy, you're like, yo, I gotta flip that sound somehow, because when they drop it, it's gonna be like a complete like mind fuck when the beat just starts hitting. And
that's another reason why I'm out here in Vegas too, is because when you see me lurking in the clubs, there's a reason for that. Like like a brother of mine that's in here right now, MP Art, we would go to the clubs in the local scene in like downtown area out here in Vegas, and just hearing the raw community really vocalize and be playing songs that were completely different than the Strip, right? Because the Strip is another energy, right? Now it's kind of all merging together, I feel like right now. But
Really?
in a sense, it takes a minute, but because there's levels and layers to this. But I feel like the more people come out here for different reasons, not just gambling, they want to tap into shows or tap into like legend acts or something that's going to give them an experience that they can remember forever. So for me, like I've had some of my most memorable experiences hanging out in downtown, listening to DJs that are in the community spinning and just doing things raw.
So what are you hearing? You've been in Vegas for about 2 weeks. What are you hearing?
Oh
what are you
man, last night I heard I was with Franzen at Hockey Son and
for
I heard
Sadiq Wednesdays.
Yes, for the R&B
Shout
night.
to Franzen.
But like last night, like I heard This Is How We Do It, and I was like, ooh, that sounds like a hit. You know what I'm saying? Like, what if we flip that one?
The Montel Jordan?
Yeah, and like, well, I can hear Ty Dolla $ign singing that shit.
It's funny to
you know
hear
what I'm saying?
it
But
now
doing
and
it,
be like, yeah, it's a hit.
I don't want to make it. It's already a guaranteed hit, right? But I feel like it's important to do it creatively and not just take something and regurgitate it. Like a lot of people jump into the easiest way to make a hit, and it's already something that jumps into that mode.
Sure.
But if you can do it a little more creative or flip the tempo, make it halftime or whatever, you know what I'm saying? You can really do something that
You're really, really good at that. Like what you did for like Fat Joe, Soul to Soul, Back to Life.
Oh yeah.
The Ha Slow Down.
That was tight. That was a process.
Because but that's taking a legendary fucking like
record,
hip hop New York anthem that just drops from the acapella.
Yeah.
And you just flipped it. That's what I'm saying. Your sound when you're flipping those kind of tracks,
right?
It's very like New York anthemish.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean?
Well, I mean that's the mecca of hip hop for me. So
I feel like inherently it's just gonna end up like
it's gonna be that it has to be that.
It's so interesting.
It's not gonna be like, oh, that's a West Coast version of what that is. Like, no, it's really authentically done. Like if it was somebody in New York.
Yeah, 100%. That's what I'm saying.
Because that's how I grew up. I grew up listening to the best music. I learned how to chop. I learned how to program and make things have that bounce, or being around like somebody like Tony G, who is from New York and actually was one of the people to introduce break beats and samples. So like all the stuff that you hear that was back in the 90s coming, and late 80s coming from LA, a lot of that was influenced from New York.
Yeah,
of course.
So that's intentional. So like you're hearing these songs and you're like, I'm going to flip that. It's almost like the Meet the Frowny shit. You put in your notepad and you're like, I'm going to flip this somehow.
Kind of, yeah.
And you just keep working and fucking with it till you find something.
Yeah, and then and then now it gets to a point now. If I'm doing another project somewhere, like say like if I'm in another part of the world working with someone in Mexico or working with someone in Korea or something, I'm tapping into their culture as well and going to their roots and finding samples and the traditional songs that the whole countries will just go up for. But I'll flip it in the way that I'll flip it, chop it, give it this new introduction, like reintroduction, and that really touches the culture. You know what I mean? And that's the merging point of like hip hop and bridging sound, because hip hop wasn't just all hip hop. A lot of it comes from all this other music, from rock to soul to reggae to everything.
Everything, yeah. Salsa, everything.
Salsa.
Yeah.
Yes.
What were you doing in Korea?
I would go out there and actually I was DJing a lot and touring. I started doing some like performances. And that just opened up a whole nother thing for me. I would do like some masterclass stuff, teaching, people, showing the process, just different things, you know. And they were appreciating what I was doing, and the club scenes are fun. And, that turned into going to China and, doing different things and just seeing culture and, vibing with different artists out there as well. Wow. You know what I'm saying? And then doing like recently I just did some K-pop shit for J-Hope from BTS.
I was wondering if you were doing any of that K-pop shit.
I did a song for J-Hope called Equal Sign, and I swear I manifested this because I was talking to a friend of mine and I was like, hey bro, like, man, I really like this K-pop vibe. When I went to Korea, it's really refreshing to see how much they hold up the cultures really high, and they're pushing to try to do something unique, and they have their own way of doing things. So I just kind of found it fascinating, and I was like, man, it would be great to just do something in that world, like contribute to it in any type of way, however it's gonna happen, like it will happen. Crazy. They reach out to me directly from internet where they just Googled West Coast music producers and my name popped up and they reach out to me directly, bro. And they're like, hey, we want to see if you'd be open. I thought it was a fake email. Like, I didn't even think this was real. I'm like, dude, BTS, J-Hope, they want beats?
What?
That's crazy. And I just was talking about this. So, you know, it turned out to be real, you know, a real situation, whatever the label that he was on, I forgot the name of it, but, or like the big BTS label. And, dude, it was so crazy to be able to put that joint together. I sent all these, like, you know, I guess like some uptown swing type beats or whatever. And one of them just stuck with homie and he did it, you know? It's like, wow.
Wait, what was that? Like 22?
Recently,
Yeah.
it was
22.
It was, yeah, it was something like that. And that was massive, dude. That was a massive thing for me. Even just touching a whole nother culture and to see how big
Wait,
that was.
what was the song name?
Equal Sign.
Equal Sign?
Equal sign in parentheses.
Dude, yeah, it's a song basically about equality and no one above you, no one below you. Really cool song, touched a lot of their fan base, and it turned out to be this like song that he was performing at Lollapalooza. He did Dick Clark's New Year's and did Equal Sign in front of the, you know, Times Square right there in the middle of
nuts,
New York. Man. Amazing, you know, and I couldn't believe it. You know what I mean? Like, I was so proud of that because it was a positive song as well. I'm not gonna lie, the Bruno Mars and you know, the Cardi B joint was popping in the club, and the frequency there is just a higher vibration when you hear certain keys and the music that they do listen to, because it just sound different. They're in tune with what we do out here, but they're also in tune with what they feel. Right. So like if I'm in Japan or Korea, like there is a different type of a feeling with what they are attracted to. So that record just worked. The feeling of it was different and fun, and it just felt like, in my mind, I'm like, oh, I should send him this beat. You know what I mean? And it worked.
They got a good budget out there too, right?
Not a small market.
For sure. It's that, you know, bro, like, it was a cool budget.
They're
it was
down
awesome.
to pay to play, right? They're down to pay
definitely,
to play.
Yeah. And you know, everyone's always looking for a deal, and that's fine if it's something that we can all grow from. But nothing is for free. You know, I'm at that place for me where it's like I do take this very serious. The job is serious. What I do, I deliver. Never not delivered. I do full albums now. It's not just making one song or send me some beats. I only do that if it's somebody who I know, who is I want to send beats to. Right. You know what I mean? Like I won't do that with anyone. So when people are just like, hey, can you send me a batch of beats? I don't have any batch of beats. I have to make what you want. I'm going to do it right here. I'm going to make it and think about it and do it intentionally. I'm not going to sit and waste my time and give you a bunch of whatever and see what sticks. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's something where, like I tell you, being hands-on in the studio and creating projects and doing things from the ground up, they last longer. They touch the planet a little more different.
Creating with intention. What's good, everyone? This is Neek from Reflections of a DJ, the R.O.A.D podcast. Whether you're just discovering the R.O.A.D podcast or a day one listener, if you've been loving the content or want more, here's your chance to support the pod. Get closer to the action and unlock exclusive content by joining our Patreon. This is for loyal listeners who want early access to new episodes 3 or 4 weeks ahead, your name in the credits of every video episode, and access to our exclusive R.O.A.D edit packs. Now, for the hardcore supporters, we've got our Tier 2 Roadie for Life subscription for just $10 a month. This is an all-in package. You'll get everything from Tier 1 plus a monthly bonus episode, early access to our R.O.A.D 10 and R.O.A.D Talk interviews, behind-the-scenes content, our In the Crate series, along with exclusive unreleased content. This is your chance to support the podcast and get more of what you love. Join the family today at patreon.com/R.O.A.D podcast. Check the link in our descriptions. We appreciate you. Let's keep this journey going.
When you first started production, right, were you sampling first or were you on keys? Because you're saying you can play as well.
Yeah, both. You know, because my family is very, very musical. So not just my father, but my grandparents were like, you know, some of them were accomplished pianists and, you know, can pick up any instrument and play it and singing and you know, that's just something that's a part of my DNA. On my mom's side as well, there was like drummers and guitar players. So it's like there's some roots that, you know, that you can tap into that I noticed that, yo, this isn't just from this comes from all this other shit, you know? So It was a blend of a little bit of everything. For sure sampling, because sampling is great. That was an easy way to start producing because it's already things made and then I could just chop them, slap wig them, loop them,
Right.
all of that.
So so when you first started, like let's say late 2000s, right?
Yeah.
That's really when you really started, like your production started really
Right.
kind of developing,
Popping off.
popping off.
Totally.
And it was mostly sample based.
A lot of it was, but some of it was original as well.
Some
Because
of it was because I'm wondering, like,
Okay.
when do you know when to focus on what you're like? Is sampling more trending? I'm gonna double down on these kind of beats,
Right?
Or am I still gonna just follow what I'm interested in, what I'm inspired by? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, it was a little bit of everything, because like after I did the song for Baby Bash, which was Mamacita.
Yeah.
He took me to Guitar Center, bro. I did that song when I was 15. Okay,
Right.
So I had
That's just crazy.
I had that record out. It was like on Kiss FM in LA. It was charting. It was for some reason it was doing good, or the program directors liked it. I don't know how it worked out. It just worked out.
But he had that huge single Cyclone, right?
Cyclone after
Mamacita.
Mamacita.
So Mamacita was
a little before that.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Dog, I was doing bullshit at 15. This man had a charting single when I was.
And I didn't even know what was going on, because it was just like, oh wow, this is cool. But cut to when Bash would come and see us at our place in Pasadena, because I lived with my father at the time. So Bash would come over and be like, hey, Scoop, come with me, and we would go to Guitar Center, and homie literally bought me like the illest keyboard. Like he spent like $4 or $5 grand on me.
Crazy.
at Guitar Center. And so now cut to 16, 17 years old, I have a workstation keyboard, like a Korg Triton, the Pharrell joint, Neptune joint, the blue one.
Is it the Triton?
It was the Triton Extreme,
crazy.
The fresh one that had came out, not the silver one.
That's when everyone wanted the Triton.
Everyone wanted it. So like I was so stoked on that. Then, and at that time, an influence was Dre Things, Get Rich or Die Trying, G Unit, all the beats that were coming out of that circuit. Damn baby, all I need is a little bit. The Scott Storch things and all those big booming beats. But I would just try to mimic all that and play things. And I could see the music at the time. I wasn't reading it. I could just feel it. So everything is a feeling. And then now I know my notes.
So you just kind of like played by ear. Like
at the time I was.
Oh, wow.
I was, and just doing things that were unique. Like that's how I did Life of the Party. Like Life of the Party is the original production. You know what I'm saying? I was in piano class and doing things like that, and drum corps, and I would do marching bands and all that stuff.
When you were making Life of the Party, it was you were doing it live, right? You were playing it out.
I was playing it out piece by piece, so I knew like how to play one chord of it. So it'd be like dun 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 dun.
I know what you mean when you say percussive,
I would transpose it like down 5 and hit the same keys, and it would be like dun 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 dun.
Right.
So it was kind of unique the way I would do it. I would find a way to make it happen.
And the drum programming was crazy. I remember that on that shit.
And Lil Jon inspired me to do that, because at that time his sound was popping. So if you hear the synths and all that, it was like my interpretation of like a Lil Jon.
Yeah. Because it was such a Bay Area fucking heater.
Well, because Short and Fab were on it.
Yeah, it was just but I just remember it's just like one of those like must play songs, and like it was around the same time when act like a bitch. So we were like, it was kind of like it was creating this whole new sound for Bay Area a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So like, but it was like a definite Bay Area like set, LA crazy. Set when we were DJing. Yeah. So when that popped off, where were you hearing your songs? Like,
I made that beat in Vegas.
You did?
Oh shit! I did. Okay.
So Vegas is kind of like baby Bay Area a little bit.
And
there's a strong Bay Area like presence here. Yeah.
But just like check this out. I couldn't be in the clubs out here. I wasn't doing that. Unless I was like in a club that don't even exist no more, being snuck into it. You know what I'm saying? With like some Booyah Tribe G's.
This was you were 16, 17?
Yeah, man. And I was living with my pops at the time here in Vegas. And, I had a little studio set up, and I made that beat in my room staring at the strip, from my window. So I had like I'm on the second story. I had a big window, and my studio was in front of the window with the strip and, the light going into the sky. So I just, this energy from that, on the grid and being here, there's so much energy of winning and possibility, and anything can happen, and what happens here stays here. There's an energy here of people wanting something.
Wow.
Like winning a jackpot. So I took that energy and just threw it in my music, dude.
Yeah.
And that's why, and what's so dope about that is they actually shot the video in Vegas after for Life of the Party, and I couldn't even go because I wasn't old enough to go.
What was the first song, and how old were you when you first heard your shit in the club?
It was the bash things, but
Yeah.
I mean, I would hear things, but commercially, yeah, the bash thing was the one that the Mamacita that I heard in the club, and he would be performing it. And,
oh shit, yeah.
But then when Life of the Party and them joints were popping off, when I Wanna Rock would pop off in the club, oh my God, dude.
I mean, that was
so
huge
dope
at that time.
I Wanna Rock
was so dope.
Yeah.
People were like doing dance routines to it. Every rapper rapped on it. Like, it was crazy. The mega mixes to that, singers were singing on it. The beat was just touching everybody in that way.
Yeah.
Which is incredible.
So that comes out. How did you get Jay on it? Like,
I didn't.
whose idea was that? So you had no idea.
Snoop,
you had no idea?
No, but the record was already popping.
It was crazy.
With
yeah.
Snoop on it. So then I guess that's why they were like, yo, we need to do like.
And Jay was kind of hopping on everything at
I
that.
was gonna say,
real
Jay is.
Yeah, that was
If that's popping, he's got to do the remix.
Hey,
was,
sometimes low key that they still drop that when they go perform, and he'll do his verse and come out, and it's like boom,
So crazy.
Hova, like, and Knife Wonder, they'll drop it in his set or whatever. It's crazy.
So that's when you got hit from Fat Joe and Busta and all that shit.
Yeah,
Of course.
But did you make those beats for them, or you had that shit in the pocket?
Okay, so the Fat Joe one, I had flipped the Soul to Soul, but it wasn't the way that he wanted it. So it was like, yo, that sample's crazy. He's like, but you need to flip the drums like Take It In Blood. You know that song, Take It In Blood? And at the time, it just wasn't registering me. But then I went and looked it up, and it's Nas's Take It In Blood, right? Mm-hmm. So I was like, so if you hear the drums on that, that's where the drums were inspired from the Fat Joe joint.
Yeah. So you were cool with changing the drums?
Yeah, I had to. I worked with him on it. So he was like, I did like 3 or 4 different versions of it. So first it sounded like I Wanna Rock almost, like with the same swing and drums.
Okay.
But then he was like, no, we need to flip it like this.
Yeah.
And
he wanted that uptown.
Makes you want to rob somebody and shit.
But I knew when I did it and he was fucking with it that it hit him like, yo, this is crazy. You know what I'm saying? Because they're great beat pickers. You know what I'm saying?
So
like,
you were in the studio when he laid that down?
Pieces of it, but then I was in the studio when they did. On that same album, we have a song called "No Problems," and we sampled Public Enemy's "Terminator X," and man, that was sick. I was there when they made that whole song, and I made the beat right there.
Wow.
And like literally, it was like he's like, "Yo, take the I Wanna Rock drums, open the file up, copy and paste it into the beat right here." So I had the I Wanna Rock drums with the sample all chopped up crazy,
That's nuts.
Terminator X. So yeah, man, it was, the process or whatever with all this is it's different every time at any given moment. But some artists, they want it now. So you have to be prepared, you know what I mean? Also, there's some people don't have time to work with me, because maybe they're on tour or maybe they're just too damn busy. Like a Snoop, he's maybe way too busy. So you have to really get with him in moments when you can, you know what I'm saying?
So you just hop on a flight and you just meet him and you just try to make it happen.
Or directly just, hey bro, I'm in the middle of doing this stuff, but I hear you on these. So here's a folder for you. You know what I'm saying? Just because, like I said, I only do that to certain people, not everybody.
When you made the Busta Calm Down joint, was that for Busta or you had that being in
That was for Busta.
It sounds like you wanted to make it for Busta.
I intentionally made that for Busta, you know?
Did you know Eminem was going to get on it?
No, but that was a decision that happened when we were together, and he was like, he was like, yo, I'm going to get M on this. And it was so cool because he trusted me. And actually, you know how artists could be scared to send somebody their demo of somebody like that.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Dude sent me the demo. It was like, here, we got M on it. Finally. And that record was like almost like a damn near 5-year process too.
Really?
Yes, dude.
Wait, so when did you record Wait, let me play a little bit of Calm Down.
Sure.
So you can remember. When was the last time you heard this shit?
I think I did the beat like, dude, 5. Okay, there's years on it. Like I did the beat around the time I did,
because it dropped in 2014, 15.
Yeah, so it's like around the time I did haha, around the time I did I Wanna Rock, but it didn't come out. Like I said, it was a 5-year process.
So it's like 2010. So wow.
Yes,
so you made that shit. Wow.
Yeah. So when I Wanna Rock, I'm sorry, when Fat Joe shit came out, that's when I had got a phone call from Busta Rhymes, and he was like, "Hey, yo, congratulations. If you're wondering where I got your number, they gave it to me. I'm right here with Fat Joe, and you're destroying everything in the fucking streets. Something fucking terrible. Congratulations. Happy New Year. I mean it, brother." Like just going in and literally like it was a crazy phone call. Like imagine that.
It
that
fucking
phone
loses
call,
my mind.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
If you close your eyes, you kind of
Powerful.
sound like Busta Rhymes a little.
Yeah,
bit.
right.
bad.
Yo,
Not bad.
Yeah.
But yo, imagine that feeling where you're like you're the hot new shit in New York. You know what I'm saying? Where all these rappers
Legends, these rap legends
you need a
are
scoop
like, yo,
to
I
join
need
right now for the summer.
Hey man, it's crazy because them cats really taught me so much. Like I said, nothing happens overnight.
Yeah.
It never does. At least for me. Like
That song took 5 years. So
did.
he laid it down. You made the beat,
and that's why I felt it was crazy because like at that time I was really banking on this record to come out after haha because this was like
it would have had so much momentum.
made
Right?
yeah,
sense.
but he kind of just. It was a process.
It was 5 years.
It was a fucking process.
So he kept it on ice.
He kept it on ice. We had it for like a few years. And then I'm like, every time I would see him when he would come into town, I'd have sessions with him and we would do other shit. But he would be like, hey, like still pull it up. And everyone would freak out on the beat. Like this, I met Pharrell like personally with him in the studio, and Pharrell left the studio. Was like, hey bro, told me you're one of those ones, Scoop. He's like, don't listen to nobody. You're fucking dope, dude.
Wow.
And like literally
Cheer.
bounced left the session and came back and had to make other beats to impress Busta because Calm Down was so crazy, bro.
You know what? Like this beat, if it came out in the 90s, it would have been like a Reservoir Dogs band from TV joint.
Yeah.
You know that? It would have had like 6 different rappers on it.
Oh,
For sure.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's just one of those beats.
It's got Annie Up energy too, like MOP energy, and you
This
know,
would be a
'cause the
12-minute
horns
song.
and the fucking the drum. It's, you know what I'm saying? Like you can hear the influence though. Listen to it. It is a lot of East Coast influence. It is a lot of Premier. It is a lot of shit that I just grew up on.
I mean, there's a little Swiss in the drums. You know what I'm saying? It's nice.
Yeah.
You got
Maybe.
that Rough Riders.
Like
Right.
the minimalness of Swiss.
Yeah.
Right.
Nah.
And that's another cat that I rock with too. You know, he's always tapping in with me and you know, shout out to Swiss Beats and you know, it's fucking cool, man. It's cool to be an influence on the culture as well, where they're curious of what I'm working on or wanting to tap in and, you know, get an earful or my, like I said, my creative input. You know, like that's success to me, is to be able to just be an asset in a room like that. I don't even care if I'm producing it. I just want to be there. But when greatness is being made.
It's really a talent though to have a bi-coastal sound. And almost like, it's like, I remember it's just like almost being unrecognizable.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But that's how good you are because you're making the beats for the artist, right?
Yeah.
Because you're doing Kendrick, but then you're doing also like Fat Joe, Busta, 50, like, you know, Tony Yayo, all these other fucking New York. And you're like, you're really giving them their sound.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like,
Definitely.
it really is a fucking talent.
New York is
thank you
fucked,
so
too.
much.
Not just
I
like
really
passively
appreciate that.
like
No.
not like ASAP Rocky where it could be something else.
Yeah. Right.
You're like, no, this is New York.
That's like
shit.
this is New York as fuck.
Yeah.
This calm down. Like, so Busta just held on to this record for 5 years.
Well, he was working on a body of work, and
Okay.
he had so much music. It wasn't just that song, but he really wanted that to ring off shit.
Right.
You know, and I guess the whole thing turned into like, we're gonna get M on this, and it took a while to get him on it, but he got on it, loved the record. They did like, I think Eminem rapped like 60 bars or something like that. So Busta was like, you're not going to smash me on my shit. He's like, I'm going to make 65 bars or
So
something.
he rewrote his shit.
He like added more to his shit and kept going, and it turned into like this MC battle off,
right.
like
The record-
crazy.
Like some Can I Bust LL Cool J shit.
Yeah, like it's
why
not
they
really,
do that? They kind
it's
of
not
fucked
really
the
a
shit
single.
up, yo. This shit, he made it like unplayable for the clubs, kind
Totally,
of, right?
totally. And
A
they do have 100% because the beat is so fire. But
Were you a little
it's so
tight
long.
about that?
I mean, I know, because at the time I thought it was just prolific to have two wild the best lyrical MCs that are known for their talent, their character, their movement. You know what I'm saying?
You made the beat for like rap
They both have a lot of
Yeah.
love for each other. So you know
real.
that it's almost just like it's like I said. That's a success.
I would have been. I would have been a little tight.
That's the
did it.
DJ in you.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I
He's not
wasn't
even thinking
it.
as a DJ.
I wasn't thinking it like that.
He's like, I made a beat that two of
It's like
arguably the best
like a
rappers in the
sparring
world
match.
are going
head to head on.
Oh my God, dude!
It's
I
like a sparring
would
match, bro.
have told Busta. I said, "Look, this
I
is
need y'all to chill and make
this is
16
great.
verses and a hook.
This could be like this could be like the remix. Oh,
Yeah.
because it's such a Harlem Shake. Like it sounds perfect for like a Harlem Shake record. You know,
Like the EDM Harlem Shake record, or like
No.
when people are
like an actual Harlem Shake,
like special delivery
Lil
Harlem
Baby.
Shake. Oh, okay.
but like a Little Mama lip gloss. You know what I'm saying?
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
And you can send me the instrumental so we could.
He's the company version.
Yeah, we're gonna rap
For
on
sure.
it.
For sure, right?
We gotta,
Road
we're about to do the new
podcast
road podcast remix.
Man.
Make a short version.
Someone just should have told these dudes like, calm down, calm down.
Yeah, like
Bro, you gotta
like
tell
literally,
Busta Rhymes
literally
and Eminem
calm
to
down.
calm
Listen.
down.
Yeah.
Don't rap too hard.
I mean, but how dope is that the beat was that inspiring for them to go off that long
Yeah,
on
yeah.
the record, which that like again that's big respect. You know what
No,
I mean?
for sure.
If it's hitting them in that way that they're not gonna stop rapping.
In the 5 years, I know there's like an etiquette, right? There's a trust. Like I don't want to get in your business.
Okay.
But did Busta pay for the record? Or you just gave it to Busta.
Okay, so
because I'm thinking a lot of producers would have been like, it's 5 years. I'm gonna give this. I might play this record for another artist and see if they can rock on it. You know,
Right. No, you're right. And no, I literally remember giving him the record, and because it took so long for me, and it was the opposite. It was like, you know what, bro, I'm gonna gift you this record. You don't have to pay for this record. This is your record. You know what I'm saying? Just give me, the back end of the mechanicals and the royalties, whatever.
Right.
But this is my gift to you. You know? And then cut to like the record took so long to happen that me and Bus were just like, we were trying to make something happen, and we were doing other records, and some things didn't end up coming out. They just are in the archives of things, but it's really about planting seeds, bro. I'm a seed planter. I planted a lot of seeds.
Pause.
And yeah, well, no, it's good
I don't know how
thing.
many kids you got around here, bro. All these motherfuckers.
I'm planting all these musical seeds of beats and
You're an honorable man, because I would have called French Montana. I would have called Bobby Shmurda.
that's dope.
I'd be like,
you know?
yo, French, I got something for you.
Yo, Jim Jones. I think you could do something over
Yo,
here.
Mano with
That sounds like high hater, you know?
Right. Oh, that's funny.
I would have given all. I would have
You had some
Mano,
options.
French, Bobby Shmurda remix.
Put
on
the
that
pressure
shit,
on him.
You know? So I'm really curious about Poetic Justice,
Right.
because I want to know if they were in the studio together or it was like a completely separate thing.
So Poetic Justice, they were in the studio separately. At that time, they were asking me for some more beats
Who was?
to
Kendrick.
So
You were working with J-Rock, right? A little
before,
bit?
yeah, for sure. Before, because J-Rock was one of the first in that camp to start doing things at a big level. You know what I mean? And
But
then
so were you
Kendrick
working
was a
with-
little under
Right.
that, or right behind that.
Okay.
But he was always around. Kendrick would be chilling in the back, but I never knew that. I never knew that. I never knew
Is
Kendrick.
this pre Section 80?
Way before.
It had to have been, because this was like J-Rock lift me up.
Gotcha.
J-Rock,
Okay.
At that time when J-Rock had a moment, and that's how I even knew about Top Dog and
It was like 09.
So did you link with Top Dog first or J-Rock directly?
I linked with J-Rock first directly.
How did you link with J-Rock?
I had to have been through the label that he was signed with, that they just were wanting me to get in the studio with him. It was either that, or we, in passing, were like, yo, we need to get up and work on something. And we knew of each other, and that's just how it happens. You know what I'm saying? Being at the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
But I'll never forget this. I remember playing beats for J-Rock, and guess who was in the back, like, posted up? It's Kendrick.
Yeah.
Just chilling, not saying a word, didn't even introduce himself. I did not know who he was. Nobody knew who he was. I knew J-Rock because J-Rock was J-Rock at the time. So,
Yeah.
But how incredible that he was there getting an earful of what I did. And when it was his moment, full circle now reaching out to me to do beats for him now.
Okay.
You know, which is crazy.
So after the recipe, they're like, we want more heat.
Yeah, so I shot them Poetic Justice, which at the time wasn't even like, I made it as a DJ edit, so I could like DJ in the club, right? Because like I would drop beats and instrumentals and do like instrumental sets.
Right.
So I shot it to them, and it wasn't even done. It was like the bass with the claps and like a little drum programming with the chops. It wasn't shit.
Was Janet's vocals were all right?
Yeah, everything was chopped in the beat, you know, but they heard that shit and were like, yo, this is a banger. So they were able to do it and put it out. They cleared it, you know what I mean? Like with Jimmy and Terry and Janet, it was a crazy situation. I mean, they definitely took a lot of percentage of the record, you know, but I don't know who owns it or whatever, but hey man, you know what? I sampled the shit out of it, and not only that, but it reintroduced that record again to culture, bro. Let me tell you what it did. Women's hairstyles started changing back to the Janet Jackson braids. The box braids were back in style. The lyrics were being tatted on people's body. You know, babies were being born to the damn song. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, unbelievable how beautiful that record is to me, you know, and important at that time for both of those guys, because that was a big moment for Kendrick. At that moment, they both had a lot of respect and love for each other because they wanted to work with each other. Even with Drake, you know, putting Kendrick in a position on some of his music as well. So, you know, I mean, like, I like to even just to touch a tiny bit on that whole thing. Like, it's unfortunate because I like that these two MCs are so great and they're both lyrically amazing. You know what I mean? One of them may be a little more raw and caught him in a moment that it was just an open moment for him to get caught. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Because he didn't expect Kendrick to come at him, because if you think about it, Drake, he battles and wins battles too. Yeah. This fool had battles and beefed with a lot of cats, and
he's got losses too. You know? It's not his first loss.
No, totally. But I mean, I remember him just having a more bigger reach and a more bigger like, oh, you know, when the whole Meek thing happened and that, like that. Maybe I'm just kind of like going to that, but you know, for me, it's like
he maybe had the first like club record that was a diss song. You know, that we were playing in the clubs.
Yeah,
you know
right. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So we thought that could have happened again, but then it was, I just think it was just like distasteful in a sense for both people to make that something so big. Like I wasn't bumping it like that. You know what I mean? Yeah. I didn't like the energy it brought around me, but I would say this, what is unbelievable is that after the Super Bowl, after the whole beef things, the younger generations were just barely even figuring out that Kendrick and Drake had a song together. So
I have two.
Right. They have two. But just with them together is Poetic Justice.
Yeah, that's the only one.
Right.
Yeah.
So what's crazy though is that like when all that happened, like the song started charting again. Like it's and I'm sure not only my song, but like all their catalogs started like coming back full circle, and it was crazy. And I don't know what, you know, obviously it just builds attention. So, you know, bad press is good press sometimes, I guess, right?
What was the first version you heard? Just Kendrick on it?
Yeah, for sure.
And then when did you hear that Drake was going to get on it? Or they already told you, we're going to try to get Drake on it?
Wow. Yeah. They wanted that to be their feature, you know, with Drake, because they saw that would definitely, you know, cause some shit, you know?
It's funny, like when you first sent them like the really bare like production, did you like say, yo, I got to retinker this shit and redo it? Or did you leave it?
Nah, I left it the way it was, and they rocked with it the way it was.
So you didn't even feel like...
I didn't have to do anything else to it. It was already, it already was the vibe. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Was it already...
when the chorus, when they did the whole format of the song, it just worked. You know what I mean?
That's what I was going to say. Was it already like laid out as a song?
Yeah, they followed my format of the record, and when the chorus comes in, when the verse parts are like, you could just kind of feel it out.
16-8 or whatever.
Yeah, so you know.
Yeah, so where did you hear that song sonically?
I heard, well, you know, that's a classic record. My mom is a huge Janet Jackson fan, so I grew up listening to all of Janet Jackson's music 100%. From her earlier stuff to, you know, Velvet Rope and like all these amazing records that they were doing, and Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis, you know, like just, it was cool to, you know, to just hear it in a way that I'm like, ooh, if I chop it and flip it, that's going to be fire, you know, even just to play it out live. And when I saw the reactions it was getting, like the girls would go crazy to it. It was a beautiful thing that I would see happen in the club. You know what I mean? Imagine like when the night's about to end and you just hear do 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 boom boom boom. Everybody's like, whoa, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
And it was just cool. So I was like, you know, it'd be cool if I shoot that to homie, maybe he might rock with it, you know? It was like an off joint though. It was like, oh, people
You
I'm
got some
doing on
heaters,
some
and then there's
unique chop flip club shit that I'm experimenting with, and it turned into Poetic Justice.
That's crazy. So
Right.
like when you do these sample beats, are you always just scared like, oh man, it's a sample, I'm gonna make nothing off of this shit?
No, man, not at all. You know, even though these records, they made the people who own them, you know, because there's things that go into that. Like, you gonna know who played the record. The label owns the master of the copy. So wasn't a reinterpolation or something that we replayed it or something, because then percentages and stuff like that change. So then now it becomes a little more original, right. And you'll get. I
know
more.
Dre loves doing that, right?
Yeah, totally.
Dre loves to do interpolations.
Yeah, right? But you still have to come out of your royalties and things like that.
Right. But it's kind of a clever way to get out of like the sampling. Yeah. Right.
True. And it taught me a lot as well to also be a better musician and to take the time to just get better into making more original pieces of music and not just relying on sampling. But what was so cool is sampling is a great tool to connect with people instantly. And if you can do it in a way that is effective, and man, it opens up doors. You know what I'm saying? Because look at all these great doors it's opened for me in the community of like where people will hold my name high, will hold what I do high, and everything I do is like, wow, I remember all these great flips and the way you did that and the way you did, like that's dope as fuck to me. You know, that's almost like being a Premier, being a Kanye, being, you know, Dre, being a Quick, but in my own way. You know what I'm saying? But these are all my influences too. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
I think it's just interesting too when you did Recipe and Poetic Justice for Kendrick Lamar. Yeah. They're both vocal samples.
Yeah, actually. You know? Yeah.
Like, it was just very funny what he was gravitating to, right?
Yes.
Those kind of layered vocal samples.
Yes. And I mean, I even think, you know, even to this day, Poetic Justice influenced the Luther joint that they dropped. Because Luther on their project is kind of like a Poetic Justice to me. You know what I mean?
Right. That's crazy.
I'm sure when they made it, they were like, we need a Poetic Justice on this.
Right.
Well, he's performing that shit, you know, on the GNX tour. So, you know. It's just one of those records. It seems
very intentional, like, we need one of those.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially with SZA. It's like a almost no-brainer.
You have to.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense.
Today.
They wanted Janet on that song. They wanted her to feature on Poetic Justice, but that just didn't happen. But when the song started blowing up, after we put it out, and she saw how big it touched culture with the whole Poetic Justice, you know, the Pac and Janet and the girls with the braids and all that, like she was embracing it. And then she ended up performing it in all of her shows. So there's a segment in her show where Anytime, Any Place turns into Poetic Justice, and she does a whole little routine on stage. So like, even just to see her embrace the song, that's full circle.
That would have been so crazy.
That's a moment for me. I'll take all the percentage. Janet is performing my song in front of all of her fans that came to see her, but rock with her and rock with that Kendrick joint too, because it brought it back full circle, dog.
Yeah.
How fire is that?
Playing on stage with Janet Jackson.
Dog, crazy. Come on, goosebumps. Look at that.
Teardrops
and goosebumps.
That's the name of the next album.
Top tiers, bro. I mean,
that would have been an insane remix though with Janet on.
Imagine, you know, just going back and forth like that would be fire.
Jimmy Jam loves that shit. Yeah. By the way, we had him on the podcast.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He loves it.
Yeah.
The Poetic Justice joint?
Yeah, because we were talking about, you know.
That's fire.
He said, like, yeah, like, you know, we made, you know, he considers it like he's a part of it. So he's like.
He is.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
So he's just like, for sure they are.
I love that. Well, I mean, you know, we did it.
Yeah. He says, I think it's great that, you know, Drake and Kendrick are on a song we made. Like, you know, we bring people together is what he said.
Right. Yeah, and that wouldn't have happened without who?
Without Young Scorpy.
Did you ever meet Jimmy Jam or talk?
Yeah, man. I've had moments where we all follow each other and are aware of each other, but I had a dope moment with the Avila brothers. It was a little while ago. I want to say like 2017, 2018. We were doing some sessions together, and the Avilas brought me in like as a collective with them to come up with ideas for Usher. So we were in the studio, and Terry, Avila brothers, and Lil Jon was there, Jermaine Dupri was there. Everyone would pop up in this huge studio that they were renting out. There was like a dance space in there, so they would be doing routines while we were making beats. It was so fire. But like being in sessions with Terry, they knew who I was because they were like, yo, he's the one who flipped this. So it's almost like calculated. These dudes know who they're bringing in. So working around them and getting to like see Terry using technology still to this day, like on Pro Tools with solid state drives. And I never even seen solid state drives at that time. He's like, yeah, we got these new cool little drives and they're really faster. And like these dudes are all freaking.
They're on top of that shit.
They're futuristic. They're so futuristic.
These days you're doing more, mostly, predominantly original music.
Yeah, bro. I took a lot of time to just really sharpen the tools in my drawers or whatever, So I got in the space of electronic, just futuristic ways of making songs and pushing my boundary a little more and going deeper into the sonic of sound. So when it comes to like, when you're like, damn, how did you make the sound of that drum? It's like, no, I actually made that drum. That drum is processed, custom dialed in with my hands, piece by piece, sound for sound. And I'm just there now. I'm very detailed. So it takes a while for me to really make something sometimes, but not like that where you got to wait forever, but sure. I take my time on it. You know what I mean? I don't want to just deliver some shit, So like, say like, in a sense, like if there's an artist coming into town, they're like, okay, we're about to have a session with we did one with Santa Fe Clan from Mexico. Right?
Amazing. I can't wait for that one.
Yeah. That one came out. That one's out now. We just dropped it and on his new album. But and then I have another one that we did that's not out yet. But dude, it was dope because like the day before I just cooked up a bunch of shit and with one of my good friends, Hector, in LA. And dude, it was crazy. Like I prepared myself, but we spent all day working on like ideas. And then when homie came, the first idea that we made, boom, right away, start writing to it, make the damn song. Song turns out being the single of the project. You feel me? And the second song on the album, which is after the intro piece, and then it's boom, the song that I did for him. So it's just dope, man, to you got to be prepared, dog, There is no right or wrong way to do this shit. But also, like I said, bro, I have futuristic gear that I could just whip up shit anywhere.
Along with doing your own, producing more originally, you're making original music for yourself.
I have a lot of things coming out soon. Like I have a project with No Such Thing, which is so dope. He has a record label that is like a part stemmed from Warp Records, which is like, Aphex Twin and like just really dope shit. All progressive artists and unique people that are doing dope shit. So we have a whole body of work that's like instrumental driven, up tempo, but like flipped and with the bounce of my bounce, but like in just a different way. All original, super fly. And yeah, bro, that's dope. Or being able to even have the time to work on my own music. That's amazing too, and to do it at that level that I always wanted to, which is it's not cheap to do that, to make like, a Illmatic or a Chronic or a Doggy Style or a Get Rich or Die Trying, right? Like how do you got to really put your best shit forward to make that happen. So I've always wanted to do it like that. I feel like that kind of held me up from always entertaining it, but now I'm in this position where I'm so fortunate to have all these great collabs with people, with all this great music that it can fund now me just messing around and doing things that I love to do, and man, it's amazing, Or now coming full circle with some of my friends like Be Real and Exhibit. I have a project called Serial Killers. I just produced the whole album for them, which is fucking banging, dog. And it's so cool because I like linked with them years ago. They're all like a extended family, We all know each other from my childhood, from my father and everything. So
But on your original music, you're rapping.
Yeah, and I'm rapping on that too, and it's all original. There is no, maybe there'll be little hints of samples, but like a lot of this stuff is original, bro. And some of the big artists that are reaching out to me, they want all original music. They don't want samples, Yeah. Samples is an easy way out, or an easy way for like youth, and that I already lived that. This is the new version of me now. I'm the same cat. I have that information dialed the fuck in, but new Scoop is way more calculated, way more different, way more intentional, way more detailed, and those are the things that separate me from everybody else.
Scoop, thank you so much for coming through. I want to know.
You.
Can you send us a version of the recipe with Damian Marley?
I will ask and see if that could be a possibility.
Ooh.
Worst case, can you just play it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, because I want to obviously honor everybody. I'm not looking for a viral moment either. Like, I want people to really understand that I'm not that kind of guy. You know what I'm saying? I don't look for like
that's just art. Like, we want to hear this shit.
Yeah, this isn't for the show. This is off the record.
Off camera, you can hear a lot of shit that you'll just be like, fuck. Like I was with Art the other day. We popped up at this coloring book party. What is it called? Underground coloring. Okay, this is like a local thing that's happening in the backyard with a homegirl of ours, Coco. What is it? NTDLV, which is nothing to do Las Vegas, right? This is how deep of where you see me. I can't just be in the beautiful clubs in first class. I want to be in the hood at the taco spots. I want to be at the bars. I want to feel the culture. You feel me? Because that's where what's gonna move the world.
Yeah.
Like on some real shit. So, but it was so dope. We popped up in this. In the back of their house, they do like this intimate thing where people are coloring and shit. Like, you feel like a kid, but I'm playing music. So it was like people saw me there and they're like, what the fuck is he doing here? You guys just have Scoop here playing exclusives. And I got on the mic and started spitting flows and sitting next to the people drawing and talking, telling my story personally and actually connecting to people. That was an amazing thing to do, and playing exclusives that are still not out. Like, if the artists were there, they'd be like, don't fucking play that. I'm playing hell of exclusives, huh? People were blown away, but everyone was very respectful. Nobody posted shit that was so exclusive. They were just hyped.
They're just here.
Like, I was there and telling my story, and it was fascinating to them, and it was dope for me to actually have moments like that where you really get intimate with people. You feel me? So I love Vegas for that reason, and I love the people here, separately from the tourist people and the attractions and all that, which is great. I love the food. I love the vibes, you know what I'm saying? The clubs, but like also that scene, there's something special about it. There's a lot of great creatives in that scene. People introducing culture, bringing what they do, a lot of artists from, whatever. Like, it's just a dope melting pot. There's a young, dope generation of people that are able to thrive here and be free and expose themselves. And man, I love Vegas for that shit. For me, I saw it early. Vegas is like LA to me. Like, it is LA, and now damn near it's California.
It's becoming LA.
Totally,
like, coming here.
Like the place where you want to do content, where you want to make videos, where you want, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It is the biggest shit in the world. Like, we were talking about that shit the other day, yesterday. Well, like, Vegas is everywhere. Yeah. All over the planet, right?
Yo, Scoop, thanks so much for coming through, man.
Man, thank you for having me. This is incredible. Like, this was great to talk and to build with friends and people that I love, and really, you guys understand me a little more deeper than just somebody that doesn't know my story. You're gonna get to know more and more of it as we open up, and I'm learning your story, and I'm learning what influences you guys, and like, it inspires me. It's without you guys, there is no me. Straight up.
That's love, man. Yo,
thank you guys.
Scoop Deville. Thank you, brother.
Thank you guys.
If you want to watch more episodes from R.O.A.D Podcast, click either links on the left or the right. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube page and get updated on new uploads throughout the week. Peace.